Welcome back to Laurie's Stories. I am your host, Laurie, and guess what? My co-host, Luann, is here with us today.
Everybody.
I'm so grateful that she gets to be here again. I feel like it's been so long since we were able to do an episode together, and this is so much more fun for me, so thank you.
Yep. You're probably tired of talking by yourself.
It's just so much more fun to talk with somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm always grateful when you can make it, but I also understand when you can't. So last month was wedding month
Yes.
for your twin sister. How did that feel for you?
Well, I was the maid of honor, which was an honor, and it was more fun because my husband, he was the best man, my husband Trent. So it was just a lot more fun because we got to plan like the bachelor and bachelorette parties together, and just like the suit fittings and bridesmaids dresses, and like we just like were coordinating it all. And it was just fun to do it together and both be equally as involved in the wedding. And like we practiced our speeches in front of each other, and so it was fun. And I don't know if I'll ever be another person's maid of honor, so I was happy to have done it once in my life. And that was Trent's first time being best man too, so we were very proud. And yeah, it was fun. And now it's a relief though that it's over, and I can say, okay, I've done that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you guys, it was so cute to see you guys be best man and maid of honor together. And then little Lila was the flower girl, and she was so adorable.
Yep, she made it down the aisle, which is
She
all
did.
without crying, which
She
was all I cared
did.
about.
She was the cutest. And Zion and Xander, the little grandsons, were the ring bearers. So yeah, it was so special. And it was also bittersweet for me, I think, just realizing that it's probably the last time that Dad and I will help so much making a wedding.
Yeah.
Our last daughter got married, and so it was bittersweet. It was wonderful. They were blessed with a beautiful day, and I thought the wedding just went off without a hitch.
Yeah, it did, except for her veil ripping.
Yeah, but you saved the day with that even. Like
Well,
you were so
all
good.
of a sudden she was like, it was
Yeah.
time to get in her dress, and I was getting the dress out of the bag. I got the veil out of the bag, and we pulled the veil up, and it was just had a huge hole in it. Like you
Yeah.
could see right through it.
And that was not that long before we were
Oh my gosh,
having
no, it
family
was like
pictures.
We were taking pictures in like 10
Yeah.
minutes, and no, actually it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what? Like I stored it at my house. So I was
Yeah.
like, how did I rip a hole in your veil? Like I felt so bad. But I was like, I didn't do it also. Like I swear I didn't do this.
I
you
don't know how. I don't think it was you. I don't know how it happened, but
I was stressed. And then I was like, well, I have a veil. I've been married. Like, do you want to wear mine? And we were like talking about it, and I was like, I think it'll match your dress. Like, let's just bring it. So then my mother-in-law dropped the veil off at the venue, and it ended up working out perfectly.
Yeah,
And
it
it
did.
went really well with her dress, and it was like just as long as her other veil, so everything was fine. Nobody would have noticed. And it was kind of cool because Dad picked out that veil for me,
Yeah.
and then I wore
Yeah.
it, and now Lorinda wore it.
I
So
thought it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So
that was the only hitch, I would say.
Yeah, I
And
would
she
say so,
literally
too.
did
Yeah.
not even care. Like,
Yeah.
she was getting her makeup done. I was like, "Are you okay? I'm so sorry." Like, she was like, "Luann, you care more than I do right now." I was like, "Okay."
she was a pretty chill bride. Yeah.
I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. So, but I feel part of that was she had such good people in her life to help her. She did a lot on her own too, but like a good maid of honor is a lot. So it was wonderful. And now we are thinking about something else.
Yeah.
We had to literally switch our brains to think about something other than wedding now. And I asked you girls, actually, remember, I said, what are we going to think about now? And you both said the holidays.
Yeah. Thankfully, we have something to look forward to.
Yeah, and that's so true. Can you guys believe that we are in Thanksgiving month? And so in honor of Thanksgiving month, Luann and I decided we are going to talk about choosing gratitude every day. Not just, people talk a lot about what we should be grateful for and thankfulness around Thanksgiving. But what if we made that a daily practice of choosing gratitude no matter what? No matter what our circumstances are, because that really makes the difference, I believe, in what kind of a life we get to live. It's all, there's this saying that says it's more important how you respond to what happens to you than what is happening to you. And that's a big mouthful, but I found that to be there's a lot of truth to that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're both going to be sharing some stories about times in our lives where we chose gratitude and how it just made the whole situation better, or how should I say, like
Where it can turn a not so good situation into
into
one
yeah,
that you
yeah.
can be grateful for, and
Yeah.
it can be fine at the end of the day.
Because you chose to find something in that situation to be thankful for.
I think you choose the kind of day you're gonna have, and the circumstances that you're dealt aren't always up to you. But what is in your control is choosing your attitude about it.
That is very good. Yes.
If you're going to be thankful for the cards you've been dealt, or if you're gonna throw a fit and have a bad day, it's up
And
to
blame
you.
somebody and get angry and all the things. Yeah, because because truly, truly, we don't get to choose our trials. We don't get to choose our struggles even,
Yeah.
or the things that we often deal with. We don't get to
Yeah.
choose that.
And just because you choose to be grateful in a bad situation doesn't mean that it's even like easy. It's just you are in control of one thing, and that's your attitude about it.
So good. Yeah. It reminds me of that verse that talks about being thankful in all things. It doesn't say be thankful for all things. It says to be
Yeah.
thankful in all things
Yeah.
and in every season. So I really like that. Yeah. So there's another verse that I'll share, because the other part of this, what we want to talk about today, is how much power we have in the words that we speak. And that verse is found in Proverbs 18:21, and it says, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. That's pretty straightforward. We will reap the consequences of the words. And I like the words that we speak, the words that come out of our mouth. And I even like to picture sometimes that our words have substance, and that they're creating as they go out there on the airwaves. They are creating. So what did we put out there? Was it something that we want to come back? Or think of your words as seeds that you're sowing into your future.
Yeah, I think people need to take their words a lot more seriously.
Yeah, I think so
and
too.
Maybe some people do, but like it can be the tiniest thing,
Mm-hmm.
from making a joke to your friend or someone as a kid, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's something that develops an insecurity or something in them.
Yes.
Or it can be something as small as giving someone a compliment.
Yeah.
And then that's something that like they were insecure
Mm-hmm.
about, but somebody actually likes that about me. And it can change something, like the lies and beliefs you believe about yourself.
Absolutely.
Like I think our words have so much power, and unfortunately though, like we can say something without thinking and it can hurt somebody a lot more than we ever even realize. So I think, I think our words just are so powerful. In that verse, I feel like kind of gets skimmed over, and it is as intense as it sounds in the verse.
It truly
it sounds
is.
so intense, but
It
it's because
does.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I love what you just said, that just as damaging as our words can be to somebody, they can also be just as helpful and enlightening, and not just for other people, but also for ourselves. How do we talk to ourselves?
Absolutely, yeah.
What do we speak over ourselves on a daily basis?
Yeah, and the way we speak
basis?
over ourselves, the people closest to us, I mean, they say you become like the 5 closest people you're around. So if you are somebody that always speaks negatively of themselves, even if you're like, well, I just do this to myself, like I don't talk bad about other people. It's like, okay, well, say you get married and then you have kids, and then like this is a habit that you've done, like it's gonna spread to other people, and it's like a coping mechanism you have for yourself that your kids are gonna learn maybe. And
Absolutely.
maybe your husband starts like doing it, even like not even thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a cycle that will continue
Yes.
unless somebody says enough is enough and let's change the trajectory. So that reminds me of something, Luann. Do you remember when we watched The Secret as a family?
Yeah.
Wasn't that all about kind of like the words we speak and declare over ourselves?
I don't
and
know what I feel about that whole thing though.
I know, it's a
it
little-
gets really into the new age.
It does almost.
I
It
think
does
like
almost.
speak
Yeah.
positively and have a good attitude, but I'm not gonna ask the universe to give me a car because I'll just ask God.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think they do at some point, they do acknowledge God, but maybe like almost at the way end.
Yeah, I think they had
Yeah.
good intentions, but I think that movie is almost like if certain people watch it, they get turned the totally wrong way.
Right. Yep.
I
I
was too
agree.
young at the time to
Yes.
like
Yes.
form a thought at the time we watched it. But now in recent years, there's a lot of like stuff about that movie where it's like
Yeah.
that's the start of new age spirituality for a lot of people. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I think you're probably right. However, I do remember that it helped me shift my thoughts because I had no problem expecting negative things to happen. But when it came to declaring and speaking good things, I just had no grid for that. Like,
Yeah.
and why are we like that as humans? Why do we have so much faith for the negative, but not always that much faith for good things to happen? And
Yeah.
and even so anyway, so I think we're gonna share our stories, and then we'll see how much time we have left to just unpack this a little bit more, because I think we could talk a lot on
Yeah.
the power of our words and choosing gratitude. And so I will tell my milk story, and then you're
Okay.
going to tell your story, and then we both have a couple stories that we're going to share. So
Okay.
a time that I remember we promised you stories on these episodes, so this time you'll get a couple stories. I clearly remember in our marriage a time when the children were all still too young to have jobs. So it was all, it was all on Ernest and I, and we had 6 children, and we had just moved to a new community, and we were like really struggling financially, to the point where sometimes I wasn't sure how we're going to, get groceries. Or I just specifically remember, it wasn't often like that, but I specifically remember this one day I needed a gallon of milk for the children, and I remember having the money for that day, but I was thinking, well, what about, we're going to need milk a couple days later too, and what about then? And I was just kind of spiraling with that, worry and anxiety about where's that money going to come from? And I just remember like something just kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I remember thinking, well, I know it was the Holy Spirit just said, you have money for today. You can buy milk for your children today. That's enough. Be thankful. Start thanking God that you have money for milk today. Today is enough. Tomorrow takes care of itself. And again, that's backed up by scripture. The Bible literally says that. And I just remember in the checkout line, it was like a pivotal moment for me. It was a turning point for me in how I started viewing maybe even God in a way, because
You had a new sense of security.
yeah,
in him.
something. It was like, it was a defining moment for me that I can't totally even put into words, but I just know practicing thankfulness in that moment that felt like lack, because I couldn't see how it's going to be provided for tomorrow. And it was just life changing.
Yeah.
It was life
I
changing.
feel like it's a good reminder that we don't have to figure it out. Like
Yes, we don't.
God is the one providing for us. Like, I mean, we might think we're doing it all, working and buying the groceries and stuff, but it's like He is the one providing it all. So.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything. It's not like my husband and I weren't actively looking for work, but remember, we had just moved to a new community. We were looking for jobs. We were trying to get plugged in, and there was just a lot going on. We didn't just sit on the couch and wait for God to drop milk
Yeah.
money, but it was like, we had to, we do what we know and can, and God will always meet us.
Yeah, absolutely. That
Yeah.
reminds me of this story. I heard somebody was sharing it to me. They heard it on a podcast. It was this mom was talking about how her teenager and a bunch of his friends, they were going to load up their car and go to San Diego, and they were going to have one tank of gas and nothing else. And they were going to be there for a week, and they're like, God's going to provide. And the mom was like, okay, but you can't do that. Like, where are you going to sleep? What are you going to eat? And they're like, God's going to provide for us. And I just remember we were talking about it at a Bible study, and on one hand, we were like, I love the faith that they have, that they're like, God's going to provide. But then a couple of the other women were like, but also like, don't don't test God. Like, be like, ooh, what are you going to do? Like, I'm going to San Diego with no money. But, like, they were fine. They, like, spent the week, the first night there. They, like, told somebody what they were doing. And they, like, offered them a room to stay and, like,
Aw.
food to eat. And, like, the whole week, like, just similar stories. And it's not like they were just going there, though, and being like, oh, God, like, we don't have any money, like, provide for us. Like, we're just
Yeah.
going to sit in our
Yeah.
van and wait for you. They were, like, going and, like, spreading the gospel and, like,
Yeah.
telling people about Jesus. And then, like, God provided
Wow.
for them. So kind of what you
Wow.
were saying, it's not like we're just not doing anything. You're still
Right.
trying, but you're also, like, have full faith that, like, well, I actually don't have to be too concerned if if I don't have this means to an end, because, like, God is still looking out for me.
And he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills.
Yeah.
I think we forget that too.
I know.
I love that story. And think
I
about
know.
that. A bunch of teenagers having that kind of faith.
I know. I thought it was
That's
so
amazing.
cool. I thought it was so cool.
That is really, really cool. I love that story. Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Shall I share one of my stories?
Yes, absolutely. All the stories you have.
Okay, I think I told you one earlier, but I feel like I want to tell you a different one now. When it was our first year in public school, so in 4th grade, and this was during our, like, transition out of the Amish, so we were, like, kind of meandering into, like, the new, like, tennis shoes and, like,
Yeah.
different clothes that weren't Amish, because now we were going to a public school, so it was like, we're not going to wear our Amish clothes there, but also we didn't have that much money to go and buy a whole new wardrobe.
Right.
So I remember, I don't know where I got this skirt, garage sale, hand-me-down, Walmart, I have no idea, but I had this, like, black and pink skirt, and it, like, went to the knees, and it had, like, flowers on it, and I loved it, but it also had a couple holes in it, but, like, not anything major, just, like, you could see my knee or something, like, nothing crazy. And so I wore it all the time. Like, I loved it. It was my favorite piece of clothing item I ever had up in that point. And I wore it to school, and I remember this girl was like, Luann, you have to stop wearing that skirt. And I was like, why? And she was like, you have to stop. It's so ugly. And I said, this is my favorite skirt, and I'm not going to stop because you don't like it. And I kept wearing it.
Good for you.
Until you threw it away.
I threw it away. Why did I?
It needed to be thrown away. It had holes in it. It was like a just wrangled little skirt that I, like, would not give up. But it was okay. You let me wear it for probably, like, a year. So I probably was growing out of it anyway.
But I probably didn't know what it meant to you, or why would I have thrown it away? Probably because it had holes in it.
I give Lila's clothes away that she's growing out of. Like, I don't ask her about it.
But I am so proud of you that brings me to a point that I wanted to stress in this talk. I'm so glad you said that. You did not listen to her. You chose to wear that skirt anyway because you loved it.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I really wanted to bring out on this. We do not have to accept the negative words that are spoken over us. We always have the power to reject those. You know, a lot of people don't even know that they are allowed to do that. But today I'm giving all of us permission. If negative words that downgrade us or make us feel insecure or insignificant or however it makes us feel, we do not have to accept those. We can literally say, I do not accept that out loud, and just don't let it affect you.
Yeah.
Like
I think
that.
it was easy for me because I was so confident about that skirt, but I think that's a good reminder for in times where maybe you're not fully confident. Maybe the situation isn't fun and you don't even feel like being grateful for it, but it's like you still get to choose.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody can make that decision except for you.
That's so true. And then in the other part of that story is the example of that girl speaking that to you negatively. That was her perspective.
Yeah.
That skirt was ugly. That was her perspective. Who gave her permission to speak that? You know, that's just another word how your words can hurt and wound. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. So to just be very careful with that. Okay, so I have another story of speaking life, and like I said earlier, speak it over ourselves. As much as we speak it over other people, how are we talking to ourselves? So another time in our marriage, one of the hardest times in our marriage was when my husband, your dad, had extreme back problems. Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
And it got really bad to where sometimes, and it was the craziest thing because he would be maybe bending over the sink and washing his face, and his back would just lock up. And he couldn't move. It was awful. Or he'd be coming down the stairs and his back would lock up and it would be extreme pain. And this went on for quite a while. And I mean, many people prayed, many times people would pray for him. Nothing happened. And he went to the doctor numerous times and they finally said, well, there's nothing we can do. You probably should think about just getting ready to
use a wheelchair.
use a wheelchair. Yeah, they literally said that. Get ready to use a wheelchair. Your back is, your vertebrae are bone on bone. And I don't think they even gave him that much hope with surgery. They said you could try it, but it's probably not, they were not very, very positive about it at all. And he said and I don't know for sure if they recommended this or if we found this out from somebody else, then they said that we can go do try a cortisone shot in Canada. So we did that, and oh my goodness, for a while it was even worse. The pain he went through and it was so hard for me to see him like that. He couldn't work, he could hardly do anything. Very dark, depressing time in our life. But he started speaking to his back. How crazy does that sound? He got the cortisone shot. They told him that might last 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months. We don't know. And he did that, and he started speaking to his own body. He would tell his back, he would say, back, you're healed. You don't know it yet, but you are healed. I am so proud of him. I don't know how long he did that, but we all know how crazy he is today, and nothing slows him down, and his back is healed. And
That's
he's as strong as he ever was today at almost 55 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I am telling you, speaking life, speaking the truth over yourself is powerful. So how are you speaking to yourself? Would you speak to your best friend the way you speak to yourself? The words that are coming out of your mouth to yourself. Would you say that to your best friend?
Well, and I think that's a good point because so many people have like negative self-talk, or it can even be like a coping mechanism. Like you see kids do it, and it's just I think it's learned though. It's hard to say if it's learned or if it's like anxiety and it comes out as like bad thoughts, and then you start just in the cycle. You just start negatively talking about yourself, and I can empathize if somebody struggles with that, but I think like. Sometimes we think, well, I wouldn't say this to my best friend. I would just say this like to myself. Like I'm not talking negatively about other people. But we were saying earlier how like if you are speaking that way about yourself, maybe it's something you deal with for years and it really doesn't affect other people. But say you get married, like that's going to affect your own mood, which is then going to rub off on your husband. Maybe your husband starts picking up on your coping skills that you're using. And now when he's stressed, he's negatively self-talking about himself when he used to never do that. Or maybe your kids see you do that and then your kids pick that up, even if you like don't mean for that. And so I just think like sometimes we think, well, I wouldn't say this about other people. I'm not putting this out into the world. This is how I deal with things for myself when I'm really stressed without even thinking about it. And it's like your words can just affect people all around, even if you think nobody's listening.
Absolutely. So true. And they can affect in a good way or in a bad way.
Yeah, because if you do the opposite and if you give yourself like a little affirmation every day, like I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm confident, like I know if I do that, Lila does it. Like she can't even talk yet. Well, I mean she kind of can, but I'll be like, I'm so strong, and then she'll go, I'm strong. Like
so
and she'll like grab her hands. If you're not watching on YouTube, she'll grab her hands and like put them up to her chest. Like, I'm strong.
I love
and she does it herself. And I'm like, if I didn't do that, or if I did it the opposite, you would follow in my footsteps.
Absolutely.
So,
she is,
and that can build, that like goes into their brain, and their kids are so just like
a sponge.
They're
like a sponge.
Like easily morphed in that time of their life. Like what they hear and the coping mechanisms that you teach them like are going to like build who they are, their foundation for a person. So.
You know, there's two things I want to say before I forget. One of them goes with what you were saying, how you speak affirmations. If you need help with any of this type of thing, like like if you're interested and you want to learn how to do this, Steve and Wendy Backlund have amazing books on speaking the truth out loud, declaring truth declarations and all kinds of things like that. Kind of like
we can link them.
yeah,
we
we
link
should.
those?
We should totally. The one that I really, really like that has all kinds of declarations in it is called "You're Crazy If You Don't Talk to Yourself."
It's in your bathroom.
It is in my bathroom. I thought about bringing
Every
it in
time I
here.
come in here or come to her house and use the guest bathroom, there's just this book staring at me. It's like a guy like
And
pointing at you with-
and have you noticed that those books are all by the same author? I read those books over and over and over because every time it's something that I needed to hear again. And yeah, so that, and of course,
we'll link those.
of course, I lost my train of thoughts then. Oh, well, one thing I wanted to say, I'll say this until that other thing comes back. But did you know that? So you might think, well, how do I stop speaking negative about myself or just in general? I mean, have you ever been around people who everything is always negative? It is draining. It is draining.
And you're like scared to tell them because
I know.
it's like they're already negative about.
I know. And it's just, for me, it's just like, I just can't, I just want to get away as soon as it's polite to do so. But then I also want to have compassion because why, what did they have
I know,
modeled
and they
as a
might not
child?
even, like realize that they're doing it.
I
you
know. But it seems that being negative is so acceptable. It's almost like that's what we expect. That's what people expect. Well, God forbid that you would say something that's right in your life. Maybe that would be seen as prideful, or that's just ridiculous. Like, and then we wonder why our life is the way it is. Well, what if we started talking more about what's right than what's wrong? Again, that power of the tongue. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. What seeds are we sowing? Are they good seeds? Are they bad seeds? Like Steve and Wendy say it like this: you are literally seeding the clouds with your words for your future. So what do you want to see in your future? What do you want to see in 5 years? What do you want to see in 10 years? Start speaking, start thanking God even for things that you don't have yet. Just thank Him. Thank Him that He's doing it, even when you can't see it. It works. Believe me,
And
works.
I think the important part where a lot of people have it twisted is that we are supposed to be asking God for that and thanking God for that. And like a lot of like manifestation and stuff is like asking
the universe.
for
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
Which it's like, so a lot of what we're saying sounds very similar, but it's like,
Yeah.
I do not ride that wave.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, we don't ride that wave.
it makes me like angry, but it's okay because I'm just like, there's like literally Jesus died for you. Like
the universe did not give its life.
Not do
yes,
that.
the
Like
universe.
I don't
yes.
know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But of course, it comes in a pretty pink package, and it's gonna look all nice and like sound like, oh, I just do this and I get whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 100%. Like we've said before, we are diehard Christians.
I just think like obviously believing in God, that can be like a lot to wrap your mind around. But it's like if you're already like asking and doing manifestations and like asking the universe for this stuff, it's like then just like ask God.
Absolutely.
But somebody could be like,
Absolutely.
well, I don't believe in God. It's like, okay, well
then
listen to our podcast.
Yeah, then we're sorry. Because I can't imagine life without God and
I know.
and what He's done for me, yeah.
It just he gives you like, I can't imagine because I'm like so much more peaceful. Like
Me too.
do I worry? Yes, but like I don't have to worry that much because like I am not that in control.
And you have a place to take your worries and leave them. Leave them there. So how do you stop the negative talk? Well, it has to start in your thoughts. It has to start in our thoughts because our thoughts become words. Then our words become our actions. And then our actions become, our actions produce the consequences.
Yeah, it's almost like reversing the habit. Like
Yeah,
if that is your
yeah.
if that's your go-to, you do it without even thinking about it. It's like it might feel really weird to start saying positive things about yourself or
Or to other people
yeah.
if you're not used
It's
to
like
it.
you might
Yeah.
have to force it, and that's okay. But then like you know, do it for how many days straight? How many days builds a habit? I don't know. Do it for that many days, and then just keep doing it, and then
Yeah.
eventually,
Yeah.
like over time, you know,
It becomes
your
easier.
go-to thought might be like, I can't do this. I'm bad at this, and then in the back of your mind, it's gonna say, no, I'm not that bad at this. Like
Yeah.
I
I
can
can
do
do
this.
this. I can do this. Yeah. Even Xander quotes this verse. It's so cute. Have you heard him quote this? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
That's so
That is
cute.
one of my favorite verses. Like, no, I can't of myself, but I can because of God.
I used to always say that verse before when I was in powerlifting, right before I'd go up and do a
Did you?
lift.
Yeah.
I said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Oh, you were strong. Oh my goodness. Ay, ay, ay. Those were some good days
I know. I
in
miss them.
some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is another verse that I'll share. 1 Peter 3:10 says, "Whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit." And I'm sure in different versions it'll probably read maybe even just speaking evil or deceit or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we might think, oh, this is not such a big deal, but there is actually a lot in the Bible about our words and the power that they have and all of. So I'm a believer in taking control over what comes out of our mouths.
Yeah.
And
I remember dad was a big advocate for it like during high school. So I definitely went through the teenage years and
you
I
guys
was
all did.
pretty
Yeah.
like feisty and
Yeah.
he would always just tell me, you're the one that's controlling your day. Like, I don't know why you're
Yeah,
acting like
I
we're the ones
know.
making it a bad day.
I
like,
know.
And I would just get so angry because I was like, oh, he's right. Like,
But it had to start in your thoughts again, right? So
yeah. Or like even I've noticed like if I have like a hard day, like with parenting and I'm like, we're not having a good day, we're in bad moods, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, have I been in that good of a mood? Like I really feel like a mom kind of sets the tone in the house.
oh my goodness,
And if
yeah.
I decide that like, oh no, we're gonna have a good day, even like yesterday, well, the day before yesterday, I was in such a funk. The next morning, woke up in a worse funk. Like I was not nice, like to Trent. Like I was crabby with Lila, and then we went to church and I'm in this group and. Then on the way home, I was talking to my friend and I was like, I just was like woke up on the wrong side of bed and I felt so bad because like now Lila's day is bad and she was like, well, kids are in the present. Like kids aren't thinking about what happened 5 minutes ago or what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. They're literally like what's happening right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, so I can just restart right now. And like I don't have to be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I mean, I should apologize to her, but I was like, I'm going to go home and like be so overly nice to her because I feel so bad about this morning. And then I was like, no, because that's just fueled from my mom guilt. Like, I can just start the day over and be like, that's a
Yeah.
great day. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
ignoring that I was rude in the morning. Like, you know, not just walking right past that. Obviously, if she was older, then I could be like, I'm really sorry for having attitudes.
right,
But she's just a little
exactly.
girl, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just like,
Yeah.
let's go like play bubbles, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's so good. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how I got on that.
But that's so good though. Like we can restart every
Yes,
minute of every day.
That was the point. We get to choose.
Yes,
you
we don't
know?
have to wait until we went to bed and slept and got up again. We can just start start over.
It was
and
helpful because I was gonna go home and restart the day, but I was gonna go home and feel really guilty and
First.
be like, oh, and I was like, I can just be like in a great mood right now, and I
Yeah.
can fake it till I make
Yeah.
it. And like I did apologize to her. I was like, "Mommy's very sorry for being crabby this morning."
What did
And
she say?
She just looked at me like
she probably said,
book?
"Yeah." Oh, she said book.
she just was like, because she's in the present. Like she wanted to read a
Yeah,
book.
she wanted
you
to
know,
read a
When
book.
she's older, we'll get to that point.
She is so cute.
Yeah.
I just can't. Yeah, she is so smart. She is picking up so much these days, and all you moms of little children, just your words do have a big impact. I'll share something that makes me the most sad, and I just want to go and I never do, but I always want to go and talk to children when like it can happen at the grocery store. It's often at a store somewhere, and you just hear a stressed out mom or a dad
Screaming
or
at them.
both like just screaming at their children and telling them all those negative things. I'm just like, it just grieves me
I
to the very
know.
bottom of my toes, like, because the children often just look so sad and dejected.
I know, and then it's like they learn that, and then they'll probably grow up and do the same thing, which is probably
I
why their
know.
parents are speaking
So
to them the same way.
it's
It's
that
a
crazy
cycle.
cycle again.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can break crazy cycles too. We can
Yeah.
break crazy cycles. And
Yes.
and if we don't do it, then our children will have to do it. So yeah, there's always hope, there's always a way, there's usually always second chances. Thank God. So, what closing thoughts do you have? Speaking life, choosing gratitude, it really does go together, because if we're feeling grateful and thankful, it's much easier to speak it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think if if you're listening to this and you're going through something hard, or you have something hard coming up that you're not looking forward to, just like, we're not saying that choosing to be grateful makes everything easier or will give you easier circumstances. You're still going to probably be dealt the same cards, but like realizing that your mind has the power to really transform your day just by choosing to do that. Like, you have a lot more control over your day and your mood than maybe we forget that we do, you know? So, yeah, I think just choosing every day, like actively choosing that you're going to have a good day. And if you're not having a good day, then stepping back and say, okay, I can restart right now.
Yeah, I like that. Ooh, I like that so much, because so
Yeah.
often we start the day off wrong and we might wallow in guilt the rest of the day.
I'm like, oh, I need to start over tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's like, well,
it's
you
too late. But
don't.
no, it's not.
And if you
It's not.
can't like switch over that quickly, like, because I kind of just like switch and like fake it until I feel happy, that's okay. Like, give yourself 5 minutes and say, I am going to feel this.
Yes.
I am not like in a
Yes.
place where I can just be happy right now. That's okay. Like, give yourself some time to feel it, and then just try to, go
And
from there.
and I am personally am such a huge advocate of speaking things out loud, and I use this a lot with my clients. Like, I explain it to like this to them. If you just even if you don't feel it, like, and it's often about forgiveness, like how do I forgive this person or that person? If I absolutely don't feel it and I can't, just start speaking it out.
Yeah.
Start saying out loud, I choose to forgive, insert the name, for what they did to me. I choose to forgive. I choose to forgive. You might have to say that 25 times in one day, because even forgiveness comes in little increments. It doesn't just one and done. It's not just
Yeah.
one and done. But the more you speak that, the more, I like to say, your brain eventually catches up with your heart, or it goes from your brain into your heart. Yeah, I like to picture it sliding down into my heart until
Yeah.
it becomes real.
I like
But
that.
sometimes you just have to take it by force and start speaking it out until it
And
becomes
if you
true.
practice that,
And
just
practice that.
practicing
Practice.
gratitude,
Yeah.
then eventually it'll become a little bit easier.
Yes,
and eventually
absolutely.
gratitude will be your go-to instead of negativity.
And think
hopefully.
about that. Don't you? Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to live from a place of gratitude instead of negativity? So I think that's it, Lou. We'll wrap
think
it
so,
up, and
too.
you're going to link those books.
I'll link the books.
You'll link the books, and she's going to link my book as well. I honestly think that right now, my publisher is running a special. So you can find this on Amazon. I'm not 100% sure, but if I understood them right, they're running a special right now on this for Black Friday through whenever. I think it's at least a week. They would make amazing Christmas gifts, because this is a 365-day devotional, and it can be used every year. There are no dates except for just, the day, like March 1st, I mean, like, not a year.
You start it in January.
Yes, you start it in January.
You can repeat it every year.
Yes, you can repeat it every year. It's not just for 2024 or just for
Yes,
2025.
great Christmas
Yes,
gift to give.
it is called Joy in the Journey, 365 Whispers of Hope by Laurie Schwartz.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes.
Yes.
And we'll link the other two books. Yeah, you guys know where you can watch us by now on YouTube,
Say it
Spotify,
anyway.
Amazon. Amazon.
Amazon. I love that.
Whatever. You
Love
guys know. Just look up Laurie's Stories. You'll find us.
Yeah.
Okay.
YouTube. If you want to watch our crazy, quirky ways, you can watch us live on Amazon. Otherwise, yes.
Amazon.
I said it. See, power of words.
Watch us
Power
live
of
on
words.
Amazon. Oh my goodness.
Watch us live on YouTube,
We're going crazy.
Spotify, Apple.
We don't need to say it all. This is the worst part to edit at the end because we're like,
Okay, 'cause we're like
oh, follow us on, and then we're trying to think
stumbling
of all the
over our
places,
words.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
spit it out, girls.
Like, subscribe, and share. That helps.
We'll
Us.
see you. Oh,
Get
this
out
is
there.
and we'll see you regularly scheduled the first Friday of next month of December. Even though you got a little bonus episode here for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll see you again in like a week, 2 weeks. I don't know. I can't do the math in my head right now.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for watching.